Set 1 of Week 10 was between the Pittsburgh Knights and E United. PK's performance in the set was lights out, as in Game 1 they were able to get several stolen buffs and a double first blood, which set them up to having a great early game start by being up almost 2,000 in both XP and gold at the 10-minute mark. Going into the mid-game, PK was able to stretch their lead to about 4,000 in the gold and XP department, but EU didn't give up and put tons of pressure onto Neil Maz Ymir, which made them able to close the gap to only about 1,000 gold. Off of that constant pressure onto Neil, EU was able to find some momentum, getting a delayed deicide at the Fire Giant pit and allowed them to take down every structure in PK's right lane. With this, EU was able to swing over a 5,000 gold lead in just a couple of minutes. They then decided to take the FG at 29 minutes, take out PK's left bird, and get Primal Fury to help them in the next Fire Giant fight. But PK wasn't going to just sit by and take that, and after getting a good 3-for-0 fight at the next Fire Giant, they were able to get the Gucci belt for themselves, and just a few minutes later were able to destroy EU's middle Phoenix and get yet another 3-for-0 fight. With only 2 members of EU up, PK was able to take the rest of the towers in their way and started to look for an end. So they rushed down mid and burned the Titan fast, ending Game 1 and going up 1-0 over E United. Game 2 between PK and EU started with EU in the driver's seat, with them taking a strong early kill lead thanks to some sick ganks from Scream. But PK was able to find farm elsewhere on the map to keep the gold differential pretty close. EU was able to find an amazing 3-for-2 trade at the Gold Fury pit, which put the gold lead even more in their favor. But unfazed was PK, grabbing the next Gold Fury at 18 minutes and only losing Neil Ma, which was enough to loosen the tight grip that EU had on the game. PK was able to get 2 more free kills at the Fire Giant and then got the buff to sit nicely around their waists, getting themselves a nice little 1,000 gold lead. Just a couple minutes later, and PK was able to get a delayed deicide in the jungle and then had control of the map like Britain in the 1700s. They were able to clear every objective and stretch that 1k lead into an 8k lead. PK took the Fire Giant for free at 27 minutes and started setting up for their first siege attempt. After a tough fight on both sides, PK was able to get a 4-for-0 trade and shredded both the right Phoenix and Titan, taking the 2-0 victory over EU with only 29 minutes on the clock in Game 2. Set 2 of Day 1 brings us a match between Space Station Gaming and Ghosts, 2 teams fighting over first place. SSG was able to start Game 1 really strong thanks to their rotations that gave them a hold on the early fights. As they got towards mid-game, they were able to stretch out a 5,000 gold lead that only got bigger once they got a quick 2-for-1 trade and were able to secure the Gold Fury. After that, SSG just kept dominating every team fight, and Ghost couldn't seem to find any way to stop them. With a huge 15,000 gold lead at 25 minutes, SSG was able to clear the entirety of Ghost's right lane and take down the Phoenix as well, which allowed them to start putting pressure on Ghost's base. With that pressure in place, SSG was able to take the next Fire Giant for free and went marching up the mid lane, and they burned the Phoenix fast and then went to make sure that the right Phoenix met its end once again. Ghost was able to chunk out a good portion of SSG's health pools and made it so they had to reset, but as the next fight broke out around the Fire Giant, Cheerio followed a wave of fire minions into the Titan room and was able to kill it before anyone on Ghost was able to back, putting SSG up 1-0 over Ghosts. In Game 2, Ghost was able to get themselves off to a good start and get themselves a kill lead, as well as showing much more aggression than they had in Game number 1. They found a very early Gold Fury at only 8 minutes into the game that catapulted them to a good 2,000 gold lead, and by 15 minutes in, Ghost still had good map control and took an Oni Fury for just a bit more of that sweet pressure. With the game going heavily in their favor and their kill count only rising, Ghost moved in on the Fire Giant at 22 minutes and were able to secure the objective. SSG didn't like that and tried to take advantage of their low health bars, but Sam for Soccer decided it was time for SSG to take a timeout as he secured himself a quadra kill and his team picked up the one that got away, sending all of SSG back to base. With no one in the way to stop them, Ghost stomped down the right lane and ended Game 2, tying it up 1-1 at just 24 minutes. Game 3 was like watching the Harlem Globetrotters play against a middle school team. Things got off to a decently close start with some even team fights, but soon SSG decided they were done with this set and didn't take their foot off the gas until the Titan fell. A quick 3-for-0 fight and Gold Fury secure at just 10 minutes in got SSG a good lead that would start the trend for what was about to come. At 15 minutes, SSG were able to take Ghost's left Phoenix and rotate over to Primal Fury and secure that as well. With no intention to give Ghost a chance to claw their way back into this one, SSG took a free Fire Giant at just 18 minutes, and not long after were able to put 4 members of Ghost in the dirt while suffering no casualties. With nothing to really defend the Titan from them, SSG walked right through the middle Phoenix and took out Ghost Titan in just 20 minutes before Ghosts could even get themselves a single kill, winning the set 2-1 and being the team that takes first place. In Day 2's first set, Renegades vs. Obey, RNG was playing for the final seat in the playoffs, and they didn't leave anything to chance. They were able to start Game 1 with an early kill lead and a 3,000 gold advantage. In the mid-game, they were able to easily secure the first 3 Furies and a Pyromancer. By the time they took down the Gold Fury at 23 minutes, they had swung an incredible 8,000 experience lead and were slowly stiff-arming Obey out of any chance they had to get back in this game. RNG found 3 easy kills at the Fire Giant and secured the buff for free because of it. Shortly after Obey's members had respawned, RNG decided Obey and blew their defenses wide open. RNG was then able to rush the left Phoenix and burn it down fast and take the Titan in Game 1 at just 30 minutes, going up 1-0 over Obey. Game 2 was another great showing from RNG as they were able to get a quick 2,000 gold lead at just 7 minutes in. Even in the early game, Obey's jungle wasn't safe as RNG kept clearing camp after camp on Obey's side and froze almost any farm that Obey could find on their side of the map. At one point, Obey thought that maybe something was going in their favor as they looked to get what they thought to be a free Pyromancer, but RNG was able to steal that one right out from under their noses, which just made a bad situation worse. RNG easily secured the Oni Fury at 17 minutes in, then just a few minutes later found a deicide that let them clear the rest of the map. They were then able to burn down Obey's left Phoenix and grab another easy deicide and finally push into the Titan room and win the game at 23 minutes, winning the set and securing their place in Phase 1 playoffs. The last set of Phase 1 was a treat since it was Radiance versus Sanguine. Radiance tried to play to their early game strength and shut down Sanguine before they could get their ever-oppressive late-game teamfight online. Radiance was able to get a 2,000 gold lead around the 8-minute mark, but Sanguine quickly evened that out by taking the Gold Fury. In the next team fight, Radiance overcommitted to a kill and Sanguine was able to get 4 kills for free, leaving the Fire Giant free for the taking, and at just 19 minutes in, the FG Gucci belt was sitting snugly on their waist. Sanguine rotated over to the left Phoenix and got 2 more kills while putting the bird to rest. They tried to end the game there, but didn't quite have the damage to do so. Another teamfight broke out at the next Fire Giant, and Sanguine was able to pick up a kill onto Benji and put the rest of Radiance low, which allowed them to get the Fire Giant for the second time. Sanguine pushed the Phoenix once again and got 2 kills in the process and went for the end. This time they did have enough damage and were able to burn down the Titan, going up 1-0 over Radiance at just 27 minutes. Game 2 was Radiance's game to answer back, and they did just that. Sanguine had a pretty good early game, shutting down Radiance every time they looked for aggression. In spite of this, things were mostly even until the mid-game when Radiance was able to steal the Gold Fury from Sanguine and get themselves a slight lead. Sanguine was able to keep finding some good fights and slowly swing the lead slightly in their favor. Finally, Radiance found a great 4-0 engagement at the Gold Fury pit and took the Fury in the process. Shortly after, Radiance was able to find a 3-0 trade, get the Fire Giant, and then get the last 2 remaining from Sanguine to make it a full deicide, which allowed them to hit a 4K lead at 24 minutes. Ready to take Game 2, Radiance took Sanguine's right Phoenix and killed Panatom and Yarkor while taking the left-hand Phoenix and end Game 2 to tie it up 1-1 at 26 minutes. Game 3 went absolutely bonkers, yeah? It started out very slow with not one single kill being put onto the board until about 13 minutes into the game. Sanguine attempted the Gold Fury and Radiance found 3 kills while only losing a roar in the process, which allowed them to take the first Gold Fury of the game at 17 minutes, getting themselves a 4K gold lead and some map control. Radiance started to look even more dominating in teamfights after that, getting another quick 3 kills while only losing Adapt King in the process at 20 minutes, allowing them to get a nice and free Primal Fury a couple minutes later. Sanguine tried to respond by starting up the Fire Giant, but Radiance was able to make it there just in time to steal it, but lost 2 in the process of the steal and 2 more as SNG hunted them down. With 4 down, Sanguine was able to push up middle lane, taking the tier 2 and the Phoenix standing in their way, but losing Shinto and Panatom in the process. At just under 30 minutes, a fight starts when Sanguine try to take the Primal Fury, but Radiance are able to steal the objective and get 2 from Sanguine in the process. With the pressure they just got themselves, Radiance tried to take take down the left Phoenix, but once their front line fell, they decided it was best to retreat. With the score of 10-14 and both teams having 5 structures standing, the golden XP differentials started meaning less and less as time went on. The game was seeming at a stalemate as fights were happening around the FG area. Radiance was able to eventually find a lead off of a 5-for-4 engagement at the Oni Fury pit and take the objective. After their members had respawned, they attempted the Fire Giant but lost 2 members, and Sanguine was able to get the Gucci belt for themselves. The belt allowed Sanguine to take both the middle and left Phoenixes, but they weren't quite able to end yet. Once Radiance's Phoenixes respawned at 47 minutes, it was back to being anyone's game. Radiance took the Oni Fury again, and some small fights happened around the map, but these ultimately led to nothing. Finally, Sanguine was able to get 3 kills while only losing Panatom, which led to them taking the FG, Right Phoenix, and Titan, winning the set 2-1 over Radiance at 52 minutes, now being tied with Space Station Gaming for first place, going into the playoffs.